Arthur Curry. I hear you can talk to fish.
I'm only happy when it rains.
Aquaman has a problem. I'm referring to Aquaman the character. The Super Friends cartoon was his biggest exposure to mainstream audiences for decades, and that show rarely if ever came up with useful applications of his powers. This made him seem like a useless superhero and a boring character. To compensate for this, the comics and the Justice League animated series spent a long time trying to make Aquaman cool again. They gave him a tough guy beard and long hair and had him involved in tragic, dark storylines. They had him replace his hand with a harpoon, traded in his orange scaled suit to show off his muscles, and emphasized both how powerful the creatures he commands can get and how he technically protects the vast majority of the world. This solution, however, came with its own issue. It was obvious that Aquaman's writers were trying way too hard to make him seem cool. See, when you change something to make it seem cool, what you're really doing is saying you know it's lame and think it needs to be changed. It's hard to get invested in Aquaman when the creators are constantly reminding me how dumb they think he is. That was always going to be the challenge faced by filmmakers of an Aquaman live-action movie. Did they succeed? Here's how the story goes. Arthur Curry is a half-human, half-Atlantean born to a lighthouse keeper and the Queen of Atlantis, a massive continent of 7 kingdoms which sank into the ocean after they tried to play God. The kingdoms survived, but now face problems caused by the surface world, such as pollution and the effects of war. King Orm, Arthur's half-brother, wants to unite all 7 kingdoms to destroy the surface world. Mera, princess of one of the kingdoms, tries to convince Arthur, now the internationally famous alien destroyer and pirate fighter known as Aquaman, to make a claim to the throne of Atlantis to stop Orm. After failing to best Orm in gladiatorial combat, Arthur and Mera seek the magic trident that belonged to the founder of Atlantis, believing that recovering the lost artifact will legitimize Arthur's claim to be the one true king. Before I get into my thoughts on the characters and story, I'll answer my question from earlier. Yes, they succeeded. And they did it by not changing Aquaman to be cool, but by showing that what he can do is already cool. His perfectly adapted costume looks great. He talks to sea creatures with the same concentric rings as in the Super Friends cartoon, but always has them help in useful ways, or controls cool mythical creatures. He uses his powers on land. He can solve problems by using his knowledge of the surface world, with or without his powers. He goes out of his way to save civilians, and so on. Arthur, played by Jason Momoa, is also extremely likable, with a gruff exterior that masks a fun-loving personality and respect for his friends and loved ones. There's a moment on land where Mera eats a flower because she thinks it's food, and Arthur eats one in front of her to avoid hurting her feelings by correcting her. That's adorable. He's essentially the same biker bro from Justice League, but where that movie only had one scene to characterize him in any likable way, that being when he sits on the lasso of truth without knowing it.
Superman's a no-show. You got no powers, no offense. This guy might be working for the enemy, we don't know. You're tripping over your feet and mine. Oof. You're gorgeous, and fierce, and strong, and I know we went to war with the Amazons, but that was before my time. Hey, you know what? I don't want to die. I'm young. There's shit that I want to do. I just feel like I never really embraced the sea or the land. I've been a loner my whole life, but being part of something bigger like this, maybe I'm scared because I'm meant to.
There's a long stretch in the middle of this movie where he and Mera learn to like each other and he shows her the good side of the surface world. Aquaman isn't very complicated or especially interesting, but it's really easy to enjoy a movie when the hero is neither a goody two-shoes nor a grimdark anti-hero. He feels like a real person with good moral convictions but believable breaking points. Mera, played by Amber Heard, seems like she could solve all the problems of the movie by herself with her ability to control the movement of water, but ignoring that, she's a decent character herself. By showing how she comes to appreciate our world, the movie avoids a cynical anti-human message. Amber Heard doesn't sell intense emotion that well, and kinda sounds like she's doing a Scarlett Johansson impression the whole movie, but overall she's fine. The movie has 2 main villains, Orm the Ocean Master, played by Patrick Wilson, and Black Manta, played by Yahya Abdul Mateen II. Played by Yahya Abdul Mateen II. While it's great to see their costumes depicted so well, they're good examples that strong motivation doesn't make strong characters. Both have believable and understandable reasons for wanting to destroy the human world and to kill Aquaman, but they have no personalities beyond that. Their motivations make them work for the story, so it's not like I'm rolling my eyes whenever they show up, but whenever somebody like the Joker or Thanos or Killmonger comes on screen, you're interested in whatever they're gonna say. but with Orm and Black Manta you can pretty much guess all of their dialogue. Aquaman is an adventure story at its core, with what seems like a checklist to go through of water-themed action set pieces. Tsunami, shipwreck, sea monsters, sharks with lasers on their heads, really. Gladiator combat that makes use of the fact that the combatants can move in 3 dimensions, submarines, pirates, undersea craft that move and dogfight like planes or spaceships, armies of sea creatures, crab people, mer people, rock bottom from SpongeBob SquarePants, mysteries of the bottom of the sea, etc. I really like the segment in the desert since it challenges the heroes to find creative ways to solve their problems. There's nothing in Aquaman you haven't seen before, but it does it all well, whether it's stuff that kind of has to be there like Aquaman being the chosen one and retrieving the magic weapon from the den of a monster, or really specific stuff like the hero running across the rooftops of a seaside village while a villain crashes through the walls below her in pursuit. Nothing that happens in Aquaman is original. At most, maybe some of it hasn't been done underwater before, but it's absolutely worth a watch anyway. The most impressive part to me is the scale of the final battle. The DCEU movies have always ended in a bloated, overly long, arbitrarily high-scale destruction sequence, but Aquaman is the first movie where that actually pays off. It's impressive, which is saying something considering how big army battles aren't uncommon even in superhero movies these days. See it if you want an enjoyable, lighthearted time, and see it in theaters for that final battle. Thanks for listening.
I'm not a loser.